in listening to you talk about how you had set aside things and started bucketing and all of this and setting aside these various accounts, one of the things I noticed is there was no goal for fun in there. Like you just like completely like dismissed that for a period of your life. You're like, no fun.
I wasn't that boring, but financially I was a little bit boring.
Yeah, you're financially boring. But there's things that people could do, like kind of like what you came to the realization of where you had like things that you had set, you had goals. Like maybe fun is a goal at some point. Maybe they need to think about fun being a new goal that they hadn't thought about when they were in that period where their head's down, they're saving, and they're all focused on the end date of retirement type of thing.
Well, you're an advisor. I'm obviously not. Like, I'm sure you've had these discussions with clients. Like, this is who our client base is. We have a lot of disciplined savers. Like, how do you coach them? What transitions, what suggestions do you make?
This is a common story that I hear, especially with the clients that I still work with. But if you think about it, they got their first job when they were 13, 14 years old, sometimes 15 when they could work. And the mindset around money at that time, whatever their situation they were growing up in, they've been so used to for sometimes 40 years, maybe longer, money going into a checking account consistently. And like they have expenses along the way, but they always saw that paycheck hitting the account
so it's
regularly.
Keeps raising back up.
It keeps going back up. And then they get to this point where they're on the other side of that hill and they're like, I'm winding down and I'm not earning. And that's when they hit this point where they're like, oh God, like I've done this my whole life. I've been used to one thing, which is money coming in.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to be doing money going out.
Yeah.
And
well, as someone that's terrible with transitions, I'm sure that is a big shock.
Yeah, change. And I always
change.
the one thing I will tell those people is I have that same fear.
Okay. So you commiserate with them. You meet them where they are.
I'm just younger than you, but I'm going to have that same problem. Here's how like I'm thinking about pivoting or changing that and starting to think a little bit.
Of course, you're a planner, so you're already thinking about that.
Yeah, well, it's like my biggest fear, right?
Okay, we're getting real now.
Yeah.
Your biggest fear?
No, like if you think about it, like we hear these stories all the time. What's people's biggest fear? Like being a burden on their kids or running out of money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're people.
Yeah.
Like we have some of that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but your biggest fear is not seeing your checking account going up.
Yeah.
When you go into retirement.
Call my wife.
Okay.
She'll tell you.
Okay.
But yeah, it's that mindset. So if we can talk with them about, changing the conversation. Well, you have this. What was it for? And sometimes you get a little bit of a shock, and you're not expecting an answer right off the bat. Like I'm not expecting to put you under the gun and say, "Tell me what all this is for." But it's a process. You can go through it over sometimes longer than a year of just asking those questions, trying to help develop that base plan. And a lot of the time, what you start to see is life changes. So what they had thought their vision of retirement being isn't what it ends up being. And It's not bad. It's not as scary like, oh my God, I didn't hit what I thought I was going to hit.
Right.
It just changes. Sometimes the kids move out of state or move to different areas, and they're like, oh, our idea of being gone 6 months a year has now shifted. So it's just like really trying to hone in on what was all that work that you did, that you sacrificed for. Now, what do you want to accomplish with it?
How are you going to use the money, right?
Yeah. And I see some people that they still don't want to spend it on themselves, but in their mind, like charitable goals comes first and foremost.
Okay.
Sometimes they don't have children that they're going to plan to pass it to, but they get the biggest joy out of seeing impact with their money.
Okay.
More so than spending it on themselves. So it's just trying to like peel back what gives you joy with that and get you to the point where you're okay to let go of some of that without the fear that you're not going to have enough. So a lot of the planning goes into that. So
you mentioned charitable. Like what are some other things that you maybe suggest or you've heard from clients?
So I use this line. I didn't create it, but it's been said in multiple retirement seminars and people have said it before, but like for people that like to travel, right? They go on these trips and then you see like they they're traveling like they were 18 again, like staying in like terrible places or as cheap as they can. And I always just tell them, like, just remember when you're gone, that money's going to go somewhere. And a lot of the time it goes to their kids. And I'm like, if you don't fly first class, your kids will.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes they're like, oh man, like, oh great. Like,
it pushes them over the
edge.
edge.
It gets them a little bit of fire. And it's like, it's wonderful to hear those stories when they come back from a trip and they're like, thank you. Like, that pushed us to the point where we had this experience that we never even thought like we should do. Like, we felt
was attainable,
like kind of guilty.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
I think that's a big word. I think there's a lot of guilt that goes into spending, depending on how you're looking at spending.